What's going on YouTube? I hope you're all having an awesome day. Thanks for stopping by and watching the video. My name is John Mango, Coach John, better known as, and I'm over here repping Beyond the Iron. And in today's video, I want to talk to you about how I went about building some boulders. Just kidding, they're not that big, but they did get a lot bigger by doing certain things, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. More specifically, how I built my shoulders up to a point where they are actually one of my stronger points in my body without having a direct shoulder day and without really hitting a lot of shoulder exercises that you would typically see in most people's routines. And now I do want to throw this out as a disclaimer. First and foremost, subscribe if you haven't yet, because if you haven't, you're blowing it, you're losing gains. Listen. First disclaimer, I gotta throw it there. This is what works best for me. I'm not saying this is gonna work best for everybody. However, I do feel that given the methodology behind this, there is of course a method to my madness here. Actually, it's hardly even madness because I think it's quite common now. But anyway, the point is I think it would help a lot of you out there watching. If you're looking to build your shoulders up, whether it's men or women, this is not only a more effective way to build them, but also more efficient, meaning you don't have to spend as much time in the gym. You actually spend less time hitting shoulders, but you get double the gains. Okay, so with that said, I'm gonna go into some tips here, some things that I did to ensure that that happened. Now, real quick, people might immediately write it off to genetics, okay? And I'll just say this right off the bat. It took me until my 6th or 7th year of lifting to actually notice some pretty significant gains in my shoulders. Before that, they had been a massive weak point basically my whole life. So genetically, I'm actually not gifted whatsoever in both my chest or my shoulders. But now my shoulders completely overpower both my chest and my arms, another genetic weak point for me. And again, this is how I did it. So although you might see somebody else with much better shoulders than me and much better arms, for example, what you have to look at is the fact that a lot of people are genetically gifted in these areas. And so they can kind of do whatever and still see some pretty significant progress, where you'll have people like myself who really need to implement proper strategy, proper recovery, all these things down to a science to really see significant results, right? And again, I would consider that more on the average side of genetics. So that's why I think that this would help out more people than somebody with some dazed ass, capped ass delts that they've had their whole life that says, hey, just hit shoulder day once and hit it with 40 sets, and that, like, look, that's not practical. So those are two disclaimers I want you to keep in mind, and that's why you should listen to this video if you're trying to build them. Let's get into it. So the first thing I did was I actually cut out shoulder day. Okay, you'll see a lot of people have these days of shoulders and arms, chest and shoulders. I cut out shoulder day completely for a while, and I moved to a push-pull legs program. Now, if you're not familiar with push-pull legs, I have a video specifically on that you can check out if you want. It's gonna be chest, shoulders, and triceps on one day, okay? And I know a lot of people also like to throw in quite a bit of shoulders on some of these days. I said I'm not gonna do that. Instead, I'm gonna take away all of the shoulder pressing, and almost all of it at least, and I'm going to let all my chest pressing exercises take care of the front delt, because a lot of people don't realize, but chest pressing actually hits the front delt extremely hard, harder than it needs to be hit to actually stimulate for growth. Like it's gonna hit it hard enough to stimulate growth. A lot of people don't realize that. That's why I always say front raises are such a waste of your time, because two reasons. One, I wanted to get my shoulders bigger, but my front delt always overpowered my chest, and I could almost guarantee that you have the same thing going on, because, well, almost everybody has that thing going on. Very few people on this planet will actually have a chest that's overpowering their front delt, because again, with every chest press, the front delt is involved. As a matter of fact, every chest exercise that includes isolation, like flies, for example. So I decided to cut out the pressing, let the chest pressing take care of that load for me. And instead, I was going to hit lateral and rear delts, because I knew that hitting the lateral and rear and developing those parts of the shoulders really gives it that 3D look from front to back, but also makes it more capped out at the front from a front angle as well. So I said I'm gonna put more focus on the side and rear delts, as they were lagging quite massively at the time. Now, what I did was I added lateral delt raises, and I also added face pulls, okay? Face pulls and lateral delt, and the key here is I also did them with cables, all right? Now, I think that the cable is superior because at every point of the range of motion, you have tension, whereas with a dumbbell, max tension is at the top, whereas when you come down, you essentially lose a lot, if not all of the tension on the muscle. So you almost have a bit of a break, whereas with the cable, it is constant tension, constant resistance on the side delt and the rear delt. So those were the two exercises that are mainly responsible for how I got my delts to where they are today, but more importantly, the frequency of those exercises. So this is essentially step number 3. The first one was took out shoulders and moved to a push-pull legs. The second was focused on side and rear delts with those two specific exercises, that's cable lateral and cable face pulls. Now the third thing is I upped frequency. Now on these videos that I post of my back day and my delt day, mostly my back day, people are like, oh my God, people get so butthurt. They're like, why are you doing delts? Why are you doing side raises? Why are you doing face pulls? I thought shoulders was on chest day. It's like, first of all, this isn't black and white. There's no rule book. It's not like if you go past this, if you do shoulders on back day, you will lose gains. Like, you know, it's stupid. So the third step was that I decided to increase frequency by hitting them every push and every pull day. Now in a push-pull leg split, you're hitting each one of those twice a week. So that means I'm hitting shoulders 4 times a week. And mainly side and rear 4 times a week. Front delt's getting hit twice a week, okay? But again, the front delt isn't the big point here. Nobody ever has a lagging front delt. It's really the side and rear. So I decided to do that. And I also focused on proper form. So I remember I used to do those side raises with the arms bent and the 60-pound or the 50-pound dumbbell swinging like crazy. Well, because I saw all the professional bodybuilders doing it, and I figured, hey, if they get delts like that, doing that shit form, well, I must get them too. I was sadly mistaken, as we often are with taking pro bodybuilder advice if you're a natural lifter. But anyway, the point is, I went to stricter form, very much lighter weights. Obviously, you're gonna need a lot lighter if you're doing much better form. And I focused on higher reps, generally at least 12, if not more reps. Now, the methodology behind this is the fact that these are small muscles, and again, they're with very light weight. That combination means that even if you load it with a lot of volume, one, they're gonna recover pretty easily because, again, they're very small muscles and they're not resisting a massive amount of weight, so they still don't get taxed that much. And secondly, your entire body, there's no systematic fatigue really from doing lateral delts because it's hitting such a small muscle group. It doesn't involve multiple muscles, it's isolation. Face pull is more of a compound, but still is not a very big exercise. So those things, those factors basically bring it to a point where you can actually have very, very high frequency. So I would do 3 to 4 sets 3 to 4 times a week, often 4 times a week. So if you do the math on that, that's generally 12 to 16 sets per week of very high reps. So the volume was good. Now, I also focused on only one shoulder press exercise. People always call this shoulder mass exercise, okay? And that was the standing overhead press. I'm not saying everybody should do this one. It was personally my favorite, and I know that if you have a strong shoulder press, a standing overhead press, that is an overall feat of strength, and it's very likely that the stronger you get that, the bigger the shoulders are gonna be in terms of mass. And so that was the one only shoulder press exercise I focused on over the last couple of years, and more specifically in this bulk where I've put over 50 pounds on my standing overhead press. I'm at about a 205, 210 standing overhead press for 1 rep, and that has obviously contributed massively to my shoulder growth. And now I will also say that some other factors that I mentioned in how I increased my bench press by about 50 pounds in the last 20 weeks applies here. So that includes the calorie surplus, okay, making sure that the progression is right, not just in the shoulders, but also the chest exercises, making sure that I'm resting enough, and making sure progression on all exercises, including the laterals and the rear, though it's a lot more of a smaller, slower progression than a massive compound would be. All of those things also apply here, okay? Now, if you want some more information about what I just talked about there, you can check out the bench press video where I break those down more more specifically. But calorie surplus is clear. You want to be in an environment where your body is building muscle. It's got the resources to put on muscle. You're getting stronger at those exercises I mentioned, which is the lateral raises and the rear delt. You're hitting them 3 to 4 times, sometimes 5 if you want to squeeze in a bit of a maybe shoulders and arms day where you're hitting some more laterals. That works too. I did do that for a period of time, and that is basically the breakdown as to how I've been able to put significantly more shape, definition, mass onto my shoulders over the last few years. And I did it all without having to go into the gym, spend all this time on stupid front raises and you know, people hitting a shoulder press with a dumbbell, shoulder press with a barbell, Arnold presses, and then front raises. It's like you will never need that much work for your front delt. Like, it is such a waste of time. It's very inefficient, and if anything, you'll make less gains because you're just overstimulating your front delt, which means it's not going to recover as well. It's going to hinder in terms of weight pushing on your chest exercises, so on and so on. So that's basically the breakdown. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section below, and thank you so much for watching. Also, I'd be interested to know what other maybe body parts, what other styles of video do you like, these specific styles of video. Let me know in the comments below as well, so I can bring more to the channel for you. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out how I'm making more gains and how you can too. Right? Thanks for watching again, and I'll catch you in the next one. I'm out.